What if I told you that you've been praying your entire life, but not to God, not to the universe, not to love? You've been praying to fear. Every time you say, I can't, you're lighting a candle at fear's altar. Every time you replay your failures, you're singing fear's hymn. And fear is a very powerful God. It answers every prayer. It gives you exactly what you expect: limitation, rejection, and proof that you were right to be afraid. But here's the secret. Nobody tells you you can switch gods anytime you want. You can start praying to love instead. And love answers too, faster than you think. And I mean this quite literally. I'm not speaking in metaphors, though I know it sounds poetic. I'm talking about the actual mechanism of how your consciousness interacts with reality. You see, prayer isn't just something you do on your knees with your hands folded. Prayer is any thought repeated with emotion and conviction. Prayer is focus plus feeling. It's attention plus intention. And you've been praying so faithfully to the God of limitation. Think about the devotion you've shown to your fears, the consistency, the dedication. Most people can't stick to a meditation practice for more than 3 days, but they'll replay their most traumatic memory every single night for 30 years. They'll rehearse conversations that never happened, preparing for rejection that hasn't come yet. They'll scroll through their bank account 5 times a day, each time reinforcing the belief that there's not enough. That's prayer, that's ritual, that's worship. And the universe, in its perfect neutrality, simply responds. It doesn't judge your prayers as good or bad, healthy or destructive. It just says, yes, I hear you. Here is more of what you're focused on. It's like a cosmic mirror that reflects back whatever you're projecting. You send out fear, you get back circumstances that validate your fear. You send out unworthiness, you attract situations that prove you're not worthy. You send out scarcity, and scarcity becomes your lived experience. I want you to really sit with that for a moment. Not just hear it, but feel it. Think about all the prayers you've been saying without even realizing it. Not the prayers you speak out loud on your knees or in a quiet moment of desperation. I'm talking about the prayers you whisper to yourself 100 times a day. The ones that sound like thoughts but are actually declarations of faith. Faith in what you believe is true about yourself, about life, about what's possible for you. When you wake up in the morning and your first thought is, I'm so tired, I can't do this, that's a prayer. You're declaring to the universe, this is who I am, this is my state, this is my capacity. And the universe says, yes, you're right, and gives you a day that matches that declaration. When you look in the mirror and think, I'm getting old, I'm losing my beauty, that's a prayer. You're speaking decay into existence, aging yourself with your words. When you check your bank account and feel that familiar knot of anxiety and think there's never enough, that's a prayer. You're programming lack, activating scarcity consciousness, telling your subconscious mind that poverty is your identity. And here's what most people don't understand. The universe doesn't respond to your complaints. It responds to your commands. It doesn't hear, I don't want to be poor, as a request for wealth. It hears poor as the subject of your focus and gives you more circumstances to feel poor about. It doesn't hear, I don't want to be sick, as a prayer for health. It hears sick and creates more opportunities for you to experience sickness. This is why your life looks the way it does. Not because you're cursed, not because you're unlucky, not because God has forgotten you or the universe is withholding from you, but because you have been faithfully, consistently, devotedly praying to fear, and fear has been faithfully, consistently, devotedly answering. You've been planting seeds of limitation and then wondering why limitation keeps growing in your garden. Now, I know this might be hard to hear. You might be feeling defensive right now. You might be thinking, but Louise, you don't understand. My life really is hard. These aren't just thoughts, these are facts. I really don't have enough money. I really am sick. I really have been rejected and abandoned. I really have suffered. How dare you tell me I created this? And I hear you, I see you, I've been you. I've sat where you're sitting, feeling angry and misunderstood and tired of people telling me to just think positive when my body was betraying me and my life was falling apart. So I want to be very clear about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. I'm not saying you consciously chose your pain. I'm not saying you woke up one day and decided, I think I'll manifest some trauma today. I'm not saying that children choose abuse or that sick people are to blame for their illness. That would be cruel and it would be wrong. But here's what I am saying. Those circumstances didn't create your beliefs. Your beliefs, most of which you absorbed unconsciously from your family, your culture, your early experiences, created a fertile ground for those circumstances. And I know that sounds impossible, maybe even cruel, but stay with me, because once you understand how this works, everything changes. You see, you came into this world as pure consciousness, as infinite potential. You were whole, perfect, and complete. But then life happened. You were born into a family with its own wounds and limitations. You absorbed their beliefs like a sponge absorbs water. If your mother believed the world was dangerous, you learned to be afraid. If your father believed he wasn't good enough, you inherited his shame. If your family believed money was scarce and hard to come by, you took on poverty consciousness before you could even speak. And then you went out into the world, to school, to relationships, to work, and you collected more beliefs. A teacher said you weren't smart enough, and you believed them. A lover left, and you decided you were unlovable. You failed at something, and you concluded you were a failure. Each wound, each disappointment, each painful experience added another layer to your belief system until the real you, the whole, perfect, infinite you, was buried under decades of limiting programming. And here's the tragedy. You started to think that programming was you. You started to identify with your wounds. You started to say, I am broken, instead of I was hurt. You started to say, I am unlucky, instead of I had bad experiences. You started to say, this is just who I am, instead of, this is what I learned to believe about myself. But those beliefs, they're not truth. They're just thoughts you've been thinking for so long that they feel like truth. They're just stories you've been telling yourself so consistently that they've become your reality. And if thoughts created this reality, new thoughts can create a new reality. You've been told to believe in yourself 1,000 times, haven't you? On motivational posters, in graduation speeches, in self-help books. Just believe in yourself, they say. Have confidence. Think positive. And you've tried, oh, you've tried, but it never sticks because nobody ever explained how. Nobody ever told you why it feels impossible when you've been abandoned, rejected, hurt, or disappointed over and over again. The world hands you a list of reasons not to believe. Your body betrayed you with illness. People left you when you needed them most. Money ran out just when you thought you were getting ahead. Dreams died before they had a chance to bloom. So you think belief is naive, a luxury for people who haven't suffered like you have, a privilege for those who were born into better circumstances, better families, better luck. But here's the truth they won't tell you, and I mean this from the deepest part of my being, from decades of experience watching people transform their lives, including my own. Belief isn't about pretending everything is fine when it's clearly not. It's not about bypassing your pain or denying your reality. It's not about fake positivity or spiritual bypassing or any of those terms people throw around to dismiss this work. Belief is about refusing to let your past write your future. It's about recognizing that every single thing you've experienced, good or bad, painful or pleasant, was shaped by what you believed you deserved at a subconscious level. Not because you're being punished by some cruel cosmic force, not because you did something wrong in a past life, but because consciousness creates, Your mind is not passive. It's not just receiving reality, it's generating reality. It is the artist, the architect, the magnet. This is what I'm going to give you today, and I ask you to receive it with an open heart. The exact mechanism by which belief becomes biology, becomes circumstance, becomes destiny. Why self-criticism is not humility, it's self-destruction dressed up as realism, wearing the mask of honesty when it's actually cruelty. How to stop waiting for external proof before you believe, and start believing so proof can arrive, because it works in that order and only that order. And a method to interrupt the thought loop that has kept you small, sick, or stuck for years, maybe decades, maybe your whole life. The myth we're busting today, and this is crucial, so lean in, is this: you don't need to heal before you believe. You need to believe so you can heal. The order matters. Most people get this backwards. They say, I'll believe I'm worthy when someone loves me. I'll believe I'm capable when I succeed. I'll believe I'm healthy when my symptoms go away. But that's like saying I'll plant the seeds when the garden blooms. It's backwards. The garden blooms because you plant the seeds. Belief comes first. Results come second. And once you get it right, everything you've been chasing will stop running from you. Everything you've been grasping for will start flowing to you. Everything you've been praying for will begin to manifest, but only when you stop praying to fear and start praying to love. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, but life still isn't working, if you've tried therapy and medication and meditation and manifestation and nothing seems to shift, this is the missing piece. Not another technique to add to your collection, not another thing to do, a fundamental shift in the foundation of how you see yourself, a revolution in your relationship with your own consciousness. So let me take you back to a moment in my own life when I had to face this truth in the most visceral, unavoidable way possible. When I was diagnosed with cancer in my late 40s, I didn't have the luxury of time to slowly, gently come to these realizations. I didn't have the privilege of gradual awakening. I had a body that felt like it was betraying me and a mind full of absolute terror. The kind of fear that wakes you up at 3 a.m. with your heart pounding, convinced you're going to die. I remember standing in front of the bathroom mirror one morning, shortly after the diagnosis. The sun was coming through the window, this beautiful golden light that felt almost cruel in its brightness, like the world was mocking me by being so lovely when I felt so horrible. I looked at myself, really looked, and felt nothing but disgust. This body had failed me. This life had disappointed me. I was angry, bitter, and so deeply afraid. But more than that, I was disgusted with myself. I saw every flaw magnified. Every wrinkle seemed like evidence of my decay. Every imperfection felt like proof that I was falling apart. My body, which I had never truly loved, now felt like an enemy, a traitor, and I hated it. I hated me. And then something happened. Maybe it was grace, maybe it was exhaustion, maybe it was desperation. But I had this moment of shocking clarity where I realized I had been treating my body the way the world had treated me, with criticism, with rejection, with contempt, with the fundamental belief that I wasn't enough, would never be enough, could never be enough. I thought about my childhood, about the abuse I suffered at the hands of my stepfather, the sexual abuse that made me feel dirty, damaged, wrong in my very being. The physical abuse that taught me my body wasn't safe, wasn't mine, wasn't worthy of protection. The emotional abuse that convinced me I was worthless, that I was a burden, that I didn't deserve love or safety or goodness. And I had taken those messages, those toxic, vicious lies, and made them my religion. I had internalized them so deeply that they became my inner voice. I had prayed to them every single day of my adult life without even realizing I was doing it. Every time I looked in the mirror and saw flaws, I was repeating my stepfather's words. Every time I pushed myself to exhaustion trying to prove my worth, I was still trying to earn love from people who would never give it. Every time I got sick or injured or struggled, some part of me whispered, "You deserve this. This is just how life is for people like you." Damaged goods. And there I was, staring at my reflection with cancer growing inside me. And I had a choice. I could keep praying to fear. I could keep believing that I was broken and unworthy and destined for suffering. I could let the cancer and the fear of the cancer consume what was left of my life. Or I could switch gods. I could start praying to love instead. It wasn't a gentle, peaceful decision. It was more like standing at the edge of a cliff with flames behind me, knowing I had to jump even though I couldn't see the bottom. It was terrifying. Because believing I was worthy of healing, believing I deserved love and life and health, that felt more dangerous than accepting my unworthiness. At least unworthiness was familiar. At least self-hatred was known territory. But I jumped anyway. I made a choice that day. I decided that even if I died, and there was a very real possibility I would not die hating myself. I would not spend my last days at war with my own skin. I would not let my final chapter be one of self-abandonment. So I started talking to my body like I would talk to a frightened child, like I would talk to someone I loved who was hurting and scared. "I love you," I would say, looking at my reflection, even when I didn't believe the words. "I'm so sorry I abandoned you. I'm so sorry I blamed you for my pain. I'm so sorry I treated you like an enemy. I'm here now. I see you. I'm not leaving. We're going to heal together." I said it even when I didn't believe it. I said it through tears. I said it when my body screamed in pain and I wanted to curse it. I said it when the treatments made me sick and I felt betrayed all over again. I said it when everyone else's belief in my recovery wavered and I could feel their pity and their doubt pressing in on me. And here's what happened, and I need you to really hear this because it's the heart of everything I'm teaching you. My body heard me, not immediately, not magically, but gradually, consistently, undeniably. My body heard me and began to respond. The tumor began to shrink. Not because I bypassed medicine. I did everything the doctors recommended. I followed every protocol. But I also did what no doctor could prescribe. I believed I was worth healing. I stopped punishing myself with my thoughts. I stopped feeding the cancer with self-hatred. I stopped praying to fear and started praying to love. And the love won. After months of this practice, after showing up every single day to choose belief over doubt, love over fear, worthiness over shame, the cancer went into remission. It left and it never came back. Now, my doctors called it a miracle. They said I was lucky. They said the treatment worked better than expected. And yes, all of that was true. But I know in the deepest part of my being that the external treatment worked because the internal treatment cleared the path. My body could heal because I stopped blocking its healing with my beliefs. That's when I understood with absolute certainty. Belief is not a feeling. It's a decision you make before the feeling arrives. You don't wait to feel worthy before you declare your worthiness. You declare your worthiness, and then slowly, gradually, inevitably, the feeling follows. Let me tell you about another woman I knew, because I want you to see this isn't just about me. This isn't some special gift I have. This is a universal principle available to anyone willing to apply it. She came to me one day with hands so swollen and painful from arthritis that she could barely hold a cup of tea. Her knuckles were twisted, her fingers stiff and gnarled. It hurt to watch her try to do simple things, turn a doorknob, button her shirt, pick up a pen. She'd been to specialist after specialist, tried medication after medication. They all said the same thing: genetic, inevitable, irreversible. This was just part of aging. She'd have to learn to live with it. Maybe surgery could help, but probably not much. Her hands were essentially destroyed. She sat across from me with those hands hidden in her lap, as she always kept them, tears streaming down her face. "I hate them," she said, her voice breaking. "I hate my hands. They're ugly, They're useless. They've ruined my life. I can't do anything anymore. I can't paint. I can't cook. I can't even hold my grandchildren properly. These hands have taken everything from me." I looked at her for a long moment. Then I asked her one simple question. "When did you start hating your hands?" She blinked at me, confused. "What do you mean?" "I hate them now because they hurt, because they're ugly, because they don't work anymore." "No," I said gently but firmly. "When did you first decide your hands were something to hate? Because arthritis didn't create that belief. That belief created the conditions for arthritis." She stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. I could see the resistance, the anger even. How dare I suggest her physical pain had anything to do with her thoughts? How dare I imply this was somehow her fault? But I waited, because I've learned that sometimes the truth needs space to land. Sometimes you have to let people sit in the discomfort of a new idea before they can receive it. And slowly, slowly, her face began to change. Her eyes went distant, like she was looking back through time. She looked down at her hands, still hidden in her lap. And then she started to cry harder, deep, full-body sobs that came from somewhere ancient and wounded. "My mother," she whispered finally, "my mother used to slap my hands. Whenever I reached for anything, food, a toy, affection, she'd slap them away and say, 'Don't touch that. You'll ruin it. Your hands are dirty. You're clumsy. You break everything you touch. Keep those hands to yourself.'" She was sobbing now, decades of pain pouring out. I was 4 years old the first time I remember looking at my hands and thinking they were bad, that they were the problem. That if my hands would just disappear, maybe my mother would love me. I started hiding them, sitting on them, pulling my sleeves over them. I was ashamed of them my whole childhood. She looked up at me, her face wet with tears. I forgot. I completely forgot about that. But I never stopped hiding my hands, did I? I never stopped being ashamed of them. Even when I grew up and left home, even when I became a mother myself, I always felt like my hands were wrong somehow, like they were too big or too rough or too clumsy. I never wore rings because I thought my hands weren't pretty enough. I never reached for things in public without hesitation, without that split-second fear that I'd be slapped away. And there it was, the prayer she'd been praying for 40 years, since she was a little girl trying to make sense of her mother's cruelty. My hands are bad. My hands are wrong. My hands deserve punishment. And her body, in its perfect wisdom, in its unfailing responsiveness to belief, had answered that prayer. It had given her exactly what she believed her hands deserved: pain, dysfunction, restriction. I took her hands in mine. They were warm, swollen, trembling. She tried to pull away, ashamed even now to let someone touch them. But I held on gently. "Your hands have been waiting 40 years for you to forgive them," I told her. "They've been waiting for you to stop punishing them for your mother's cruelty. They've been waiting for you to see that they are beautiful, that they are good, that they deserve love. They've been waiting for you to come home to them." She cried harder. But this time it was different. Not the tears of despair, but the tears of recognition. The tears of someone seeing truth for the first time. We began that day. Every morning, she would look at her hands and speak to them like beloved children. "I love you. I forgive you. You are beautiful. You are good. You are my helpers, my creators, my connection to the world. I'm so sorry I hurt you. I'm so sorry I blamed you. I'm so sorry I punished you for something that was never your fault. But I'm here now, and I will never abandon you again." She massaged them with oil, slowly, tenderly, like a mother caring for a newborn. She blessed them before bed, thanking them for all they'd done for her over the years, all the meals they'd cooked, all the art they'd created, all the faces they'd touched, all the love they'd expressed. She stopped hiding them under gloves and tables. When people asked about her arthritis, instead of complaining about her ugly, useless hands, she started saying, "I'm healing. My hands are getting stronger every day. They're learning to receive love. 3 months later, the swelling had reduced significantly. She called me crying happy tears this time because she'd held her grandson's hand without pain for the first time in 2 years. 6 months later, she was pain-free. She could open jars, turn doorknobs, button her shirt without help. A year later, you wouldn't have known she'd ever had arthritis. She took up painting again, something she'd given up a decade earlier because her hands couldn't hold a brush. Her doctor called it a miracle. He had no medical explanation for it. He said sometimes these things just happen. Maybe the inflammation cycles just resolved on their own. I called it belief. She finally believed her hands deserved love, and her body listened. Now I can already hear some of you thinking, but Louise, that's just 2 stories. That's anecdotal. What about all the people who think positive thoughts and still get sick? What about children who get cancer? What about good people who suffer through no fault of their own? Are you saying they just didn't believe hard enough? And these are important questions, crucial questions. So let me be very, very clear about something, because I don't want to be misunderstood. I am not saying that you consciously chose to get sick. I am not saying that suffering is your fault or that you deserve your pain. I am not saying that if you just think happy thoughts and smile more, everything will magically be perfect. That would be simplistic and cruel, and it would completely miss the point of what I'm teaching you. What I am saying, and please hear me carefully, is this. Your consciousness, which includes your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotional patterns, your nervous system responses, and yes, your unconscious programming from childhood and beyond, creates the conditions in your body and your life. Not as punishment, not as a moral judgment on your character, not because you're bad or broken or doing something wrong, but as a reflection. Your outer world mirrors your inner world, always. Not sometimes, always. This doesn't mean every single thing that happens to you is your fault. You didn't choose the family you were born into. You didn't choose to be abused if you were abused. You didn't choose the traumas that shaped your early belief system. But, and this is where your power lies, you can choose what you do with those experiences now. You can choose whether you let them continue to define you or whether you redefine yourself. Think of it this way. Imagine you inherit a house. You didn't build the house. You didn't choose its foundation or its structure. You didn't install the faulty wiring or the leaky pipes. But it's yours now. And you have a choice. You can live in that house exactly as it is, complaining about the problems but never fixing them, saying, well, this is just the house I got, I guess I'm stuck with it. Or you can renovate. You can replace the wiring. You can fix the pipes. You can tear down walls and build new ones. You can transform that house into something beautiful, even if it started out as a disaster. Your consciousness is that house. Your beliefs are the structure. And you inherited a lot of faulty wiring from your family, your culture, your early experiences, but you're not stuck with it. You can rewire your consciousness. You can rebuild your belief system. You can create new structures that support health instead of illness, abundance instead of scarcity, love instead of fear. So when I say you've been praying to fear, I don't mean you sat down and said, "Dear fear, please make my life miserable." I mean that you've been running unconscious programs installed in childhood, reinforced by trauma, strengthened by repetition, that expect limitation, that brace for disappointment, that believe at a very deep level that you are not safe, not loved, not enough. And those programs have been creating your reality without your conscious awareness. The beautiful, liberating, absolutely transformative truth is this. If you created it unconsciously, you can recreate it consciously. If your beliefs shaped your current reality, new beliefs can shape a new reality. You are not a victim of your mind. You are the creator with your mind. And once you truly understand that, once you truly embody that truth, your entire life becomes a canvas for conscious creation. So how do you make that shift? How do you stop praying to fear and start praying to love? That's what we're going to explore now in depth. And I want you to stay with me, because this is where theory becomes practice, where understanding becomes transformation, where everything changes. Let me be very clear. Business, doing something she loved instead of staying in a soul-crushing job. She'd reconnected with her family after years of estrangement. She'd made new friends who actually valued her. She'd started dating someone who treated her with genuine respect and kindness. Her health had improved. Her finances had stabilized. Her whole life had transformed. But the most important change, she said, happened inside me. I stopped hating myself. I stopped punishing myself for past mistakes. I stopped waiting to become perfect before allowing myself to be happy. I just started treating myself the way I'd treat someone I loved, and everything else flowed from that. That's the power of belief. It doesn't just change your thoughts. It changes your energy. It changes your choices. It changes how you show up in the world. It changes how others respond to you. It changes what opportunities you notice and attract. It changes your biology, your circumstances, your entire reality. One decision at a time, one day at a time, one choice at a time. So here we are. We've come to the end of our time together today, though really it's just the beginning for you, because now you have a choice to make, the choice that only you can make, the choice that no one can make for you. You can close this video and go back to the way things were, the self-doubt, the fear, the criticism, the limitation, the waiting for life to prove you're worthy before you allow yourself to believe it. Or you can decide right now in this moment that you are done waiting, that you are done shrinking, that you are done playing small, that you are done letting your past write your future, that you are done living as though you're powerless when you're actually powerful beyond measure. Here's what I want you to remember as you move forward from this moment. You were not born broken. You came into this world whole, pure, perfect, and full of infinite potential. Everything that came after, all the criticism, all the rejection, all the wounds, all the pain, those were added on. They are not you. They are what happened to you. They are experiences you had, not truths about who you are. And what happened to you does not get to define what happens through you from this moment forward. You have the power to rewrite your story. Not someday when you're more healed, not later when you're more ready, not eventually when circumstances are better. Now, right now, today, this moment, this breath. All you have to do is decide. All you have to do is choose. All you have to do is believe. Let this be your mantra. Say it with me now, out loud if you can. I am not broken. I've just been misled. I am not powerless. I've just forgotten my strength. I am not unloved. I've just been looking in the wrong places. Today, I choose to believe in myself, and life will follow. Say it again, louder this time. I am not broken. I've just been misled. I am not powerless. I've just forgotten my strength. I am not unloved. I've just been looking in the wrong places. Today, I choose to believe in myself, and life will follow. One more time, with everything you have, with conviction, with faith, with the decision that changes everything. I am not broken. I've just been misled. I am not powerless. I've just forgotten my strength. I am not unloved. I've just been looking in the wrong places. Today, I choose to believe in myself, and life will follow. Feel those words. Let them sink in. Let them rewire something in your consciousness. Let them plant a seed of new possibility. Because those aren't just words. That's a declaration. That's a prayer to love instead of fear. That's you switching gods. That's you choosing a new reality. Mean it. Live it. Breathe it. Let it become the truth you tell yourself 100 times a day. Let it replace all those old prayers to fear. Let it be your new religion. Let it be the lens through which you see yourself, your life, your possibilities. Because you are worthy of love, not someday, not when you're perfect, right now. You are worthy of health, not when you've paid enough dues. Right now, you are worthy of abundance. Not when you've proven yourself. Right now, you are worthy of joy, of peace, of goodness, of all the beauty life has to offer. Not because you've earned it, not because you've proven yourself, but simply because you exist, simply because you're here, simply because you are a unique expression of the infinite, and you matter. And I know it's hard to believe that when you've been hurt so much, when life has been so difficult, when your body has betrayed you, or people have abandoned you, or dreams have died, I know, I've been there. I've felt that pain. I've walked through that darkness. I've stood where you're standing, wondering if hope is just another delusion, wondering if I should just accept that life is hard and I'm not meant for happiness. But I'm here to tell you that your past does not have to be your future, that your pain does not have to be your identity, that you can heal, you can change, you can transform, you can become someone you barely recognize in the best possible way. And it starts with belief, with choosing to believe in yourself even before you have evidence, with choosing to believe you're worthy even when you don't feel worthy, with choosing to believe that change is possible even when everything in your experience tells you otherwise. That's not naivete, that's not delusion, that's courage, that's faith, that's the power that transforms lives. And you have access to that power right now. So if you found something in this video that resonated with you, if even one sentence shifted something inside you, if even one moment made you think maybe this could be true for me too, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to like this video so that other people who need to hear this message can find it. Because there are people out there right now, scrolling, searching, desperate for hope, who need to hear that they're not broken, that they're not beyond help, that they can start again, that it's never too late, that they matter. And I want you to comment below and tell me which part of this video hit home for you. What belief are you going to start practicing? What are you releasing and what are you claiming? Because when you declare it publicly, you're making it real. You're committing, you're telling the universe and yourself that you're serious about this, that you're choosing differently starting now. And please subscribe to this channel because we're just getting started. There is so much more healing waiting for you here, so much more truth, so many more tools and teachings and stories of transformation. This is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning. This is the moment everything changes. This is the day you decided to believe. You are not alone in this. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are deeply, wildly, eternally loved, even if you can't feel it yet, even if you don't believe it yet. The love is there. The worthiness is there. The wholeness is there. It's always been there. You've just been looking away from it. And today, you can turn toward it. Today, you can come home to yourself. And I believe in you. Even if you don't believe in yourself yet, I believe in you. I believe in your power to heal. I believe in your capacity to transform. I believe in your ability to create a life beyond anything you've imagined. I believe that your best days are still ahead of you. I believe that everything you've been through has made you stronger, wiser, deeper. I believe that your struggles have prepared you for your purpose. I believe that your life is about to change in ways you can't even imagine yet if you choose to believe. So go now. Stand in front of that mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and tell yourself the truth, the real truth, not the lies you've been believing, but the truth that has always been there, patiently waiting for you to remember it. You are loved. You are worthy. You are whole. You are enough. You are powerful. You are capable of anything you decide to believe is possible. Believe it, live it, become it, and watch your life transform. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, be gentle with yourself. Be patient with your process. And remember, you are not broken. You've just been believing a story that isn't true. Today, you can choose a new story. Today, everything changes. I love you. I believe in you. Now it's your turn to believe in yourself. And life will